Hi guys, it's Stuart from the Film Reelcast. You're about to listen to our audio podcast review of Episode 2 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I hope you enjoy.
Oh, it's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! Good morning, Vietnam!
Here's Johnny.
Hello, God! Say hello to my little friend! Oh, anybody home? Think, McCoy. Think. I feel the need for speed.
And welcome back to the Film Reelcast. I'm joined with Neil. Neil, how are you?
I'm very well, Stu. Good to be back. Good to be back to talk about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 2.
Exactly. It's episode 2, called The Star-Spangled Man. And it's a good episode, obviously. Heads up that I'm still really into this. I was really looking forward to it. I've decided, as we spoke about from last week, that I'm not going to look at the comics as in what people did in the comics, how they were written out there, because it just destroys me. Because I haven't read the comics, I look at it and then it kind of brainwashes me into thinking this is the way the characters are going to go, and I think knowledge ruins it sometimes.
I think you're right. I do that because I'm a massive Batman fan, and I looked at the new series and how they portrayed, let's say, Bane, for instance, and I hated it. Because that's not how the comic books are.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I sat there and hated it. Because obviously he's like this. He's got this serum that he has in him that turns him from this tiny person into this giant creature, basically, that's got super strength. But obviously in the film, it's not really portrayed in that exact manner. And I hated it. But if you take it on face value, the film's actually very good.
Yeah. Definitely. And I know we're tangent already, but the Snyder Cut of the Justice League, have you watched that?
I have watched it, and it's not bad, but I don't see why it has to be 4 hours long. It's ridiculous.
It's insane. It's padded out so much.
Isn't it? And Batfleck, it's never going to work for me, I'm afraid. Batfleck's it's not the one.
No. I think the worst thing they did was have Christopher Nolan do such an amazing trilogy just to destroy everything.
I just don't get where they're going with it, because obviously they're doing this, but then they're also making the films with the Batman from the guy that was in High School Musical, aren't they? Not High School Musical, sorry.
Is it Glee or whatever? I don't know.
I
don't really know Batman.
Anyway, but this young actor, it's almost like they're reinventing it yet again. It's just stick with something and run with it. Stop bloody reinventing it every single time. It doesn't need to be done. It's been done. It's already been done. Stop it. But
that's what they do, though, isn't it? Have to do that with everything at the moment. It's true. It's really crap. But
tangent. Sorry.
You can't beat a good old tangent. I tell you, you cannot beat it. There's a few things that are referred to in the last episode that kind of hit on this. But the start of it, I love the way that it's John Walker, obviously, he's kind of announced publicly, and I love the way it's done. American Football Stadium, his old school, and it's kind of real, proper American, isn't it? It's great. It really is.
No, it is. It shows him for who he is. In a sense, you can see he's really panicking about it, isn't he?
Yeah, I think that's great, because knowing just a little bit I do about what happened in the comics and the way he kind of played out, that it's great to see that he's so nervous about it, and he knows what it is to be Captain America and the pressures that he's under, and I think that will. I know a lot of people on the net are really divided already about him. They want to smash him in the face already, but I think if he's kind of portrayed that way, that he'll win a lot of people over. But I think that I think it will be America first before anything, and I think the thing that made Captain America so good and that you loved him and related to him was his humanity, isn't it? That I don't think that Johnny's going to have.
No, he is very Mr. America, isn't he? But he still has a face I want to punch. I'm not going to lie. But
No, I agree.
but no, you are right. It's just I like this scene a lot. It's nice because you know he's been given this thing and he looks ridiculous in his helmet, but he's just papping it. He knows that he's got some big shoes to fill, and
Yeah.
it was nice. It was nice to have a bit of human side to him already, so we don't instantly just think he's a massive douche that's trying to be Captain America.
Yeah, one person I do think is a douche is Hoskins, his kind of sidekick, for want of a better word.
Don't.
So I know in the comics he went around initially calling himself Bucky, and
Did he?
that's what he called himself, and then he
What a
changed his name
prick.
to Battlestar. And
Galactica.
the one line that, although we're kind of going ahead, but the one line, as soon as he said, "What's your name?" and he referred to himself like a third person, that I call me Battlestar, I thought, "Oh, you're such a dick."
I know. You just like shut up, you twat.
You're trying to make up for a smaller bendage or something. You really, really are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the interview went really well. And the look on Bucky's face and Sam's face of when he's being interviewed, there is that regret, isn't there? And I feel sorry more for Bucky than I do for Sam, really, because it must be so hard because they were best friends.
Oh no, definitely. I mean, you know, he was furious, wasn't he, that he's given up the shield. But yeah, you can just that scene definitely. You can just see that Bucky is absolutely destroyed, and Sam's clearly disappointed, and he's very sort of thrown on the matter because he's done what he's done because he thinks it's the right choice. But
yeah.
Bucky's
Do you think it was his choice because he wanted to like create his own identity, or the pressures of that he couldn't be Cap, or what do you think? Peer pressure from the government?
A bit of both, to be honest. I think, you know, Cap was so much bigger than he'd ever been, and he, like you say, he's got his Red Wing and everything else, hasn't he? He's got his own flight suit and stuff. Does he want to be known as Captain America? Probably not. He wants to be known as who he is, the Falcon. So, yeah, it's a bit of both, really, I think.
So they do allude to that when they call him Captain America's sidekick, and he flips his head about that, doesn't he? That he's his own person, and I think that's. I think for me, especially the kind of the marks they hit on this, and last week, which we didn't talk about, was I think they're kind of really going into racism and society which I think is really good for Marvel to actually do that, and they can do that in this because it has kind of got that serious element to it, whereas like WandaVision was more kind of fantasy, whereas I know this is but I think he wants to create his own identity away from, so people know him as who he is rather than being part of the Avengers. And I think,
no, definitely.
And I don't know, I might just be looking into it too much, but it made me laugh where Bucky decided to go with him. The first thing he says, "We should never have given away that shield," and then he had that conversation about like the monsters, which made me laugh. He goes, "It's got to be one of the big three, like androids, aliens, or wizards." I love their science and methodology.
Wizards have hats. He's a sorcerer because they talk about Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Sorcerers are just wizards without hats. I thought that was brilliant.
And it's nice because these two just play off so well, and it's so it feels so big already. This does so like cinematic that you could be watching just one of the MCUs. It's just like the film.
It's done very well, isn't it?
Oh, it's just brilliant, and the staring that they get when they're in the plane, just looking at each other.
Yeah,
they just break that tension with that comedy. And again, when they're going to Munich, because the Flag Smashers are apparently in Munich, and Red Wing has put them there. And the callback, which for me personally felt like a callback, when Falcon jumps out the plane, and then Bucky jumps out without the parachute. And that's what happens in the Winter Soldier at the start of it, where Cap jumps out to that ship without a parachute. And it was great. The crap landing, the fact that Falcon. I'd love to see the footage as like an extra at the end of this.
Yeah.
It'll be so funny.
Oh, it was, what made me laugh about this is obviously he's on sort of parole, isn't he, Bucky? And all of a
Yeah.
sudden he's just turned up at a military base
Yeah.
and just walking about. I was sat there going, how's he allowed in there then? Have I missed something?
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden he's just turned up as a civvy into American, like, you know,
He's
base.
got the pass of convenience, I think.
Yeah.
Is it?
And then he's on a plane. It's like, how the fuck's this working out? But obviously it has to, but it's just quite funny.
Yeah, it'd be really weird if he got stopped at the start of it. That's
Yeah.
wouldn't let him in.
You're not coming in. Oh.
Fair enough. And when and it's again quite funny when they go to this warehouse in Munich where the flag smashers are smuggling the medication, that he's creeping through there, and then suddenly he turns up, and then there's Falcon standing next to him. Just a look of surprise on his face, and he's got that 1,000-mile stare as well.
Yeah.
Which is really good. And what confused me, I mean, the soldiers, or the flag smashers, have also got, they're all like super serum soldiers, aren't they?
Yeah.
And that I didn't realise, because their problem seems to be with the GRC, which is the Global Repatriation Council. And I know that they want one world, and that's kind of, but their problem, I thought initially, their problem was with the people who came back after the blip, were living in camps, and that they were being treated like pieces of shit. But their problem is that the people who actually came back after the blip, that the world was better when they weren't there.
Yeah, I didn't realise that. It's an interesting twist, wasn't it?
Yeah, because stupidly, I thought that they were getting the medication out to these people who were in these camps, who were just kind of basically living like hobos, just squatters, really. And then they weren't thought of by the government. But it appears that the government are obviously concentrating on them and not the people who are left behind to deal with the blip. Because I suppose if you look at it, the whole world's changed, isn't it?
Yeah, and I suppose thinking about it now with episode 1, it kind of alluded to that with the fact that, you know, his sister survived, but he didn't, did he? And then obviously the bank wouldn't give them any money. So it's kind of alluding to the fact that they might, well, I don't know. It seems there's a lot of confusion around it, isn't there? But no.
Yeah. And I think that's a good thing, just not knowing at the moment.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, because it's vaccine transport, and I didn't know initially whether that was like more super soldier serums that they were getting out to people. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see the way it plays out and the actual agenda of what they're doing, whether they're holding back vaccinations from these people in the squatter camps, or the people who are waiting to be like I can't even say the word.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, thank you very much. I can't even say it as written down. But what I do like is the chase on both of the trucks, which is really, really good.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it?
And the actual red herring of them being a hostage inside one of the trucks completely fooled me, I have to say.
Oh, definitely. Because I thought, you know, she was there, she looked really innocent, then all of a sudden she just kicks him out of a truck.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Then she puts a mask on.
Yeah, she's brilliant. And it's the fact that she's so small, and she looks about 18 years old, and that she kicks major arse, doesn't she?
Yeah, she kicks the shit out of him. And then obviously they've got all the other super soldiers that just pop out as well.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's so good. And what surprised me, and what I was cheering for, was when I can't call him Captain America. I just can't do it.
Right.
Was when John Walker turned up with Hoskins, and he actually threw the shield. And the fact he's so good at using the shield already, threw the shield out the side of the helicopter, and then kicked a bit of arse, but then did like an elbows with Hoskins on top of the truck, which really ruined it. They kind of tapped elbows together as if great.
No, we're the best. They've got such big egos, haven't they? I think the best. Yeah, no, they're just, you can't help but hate them, can you?
No, it's weird. And what makes it worse with what they put in was when they were throwing the shield around, there's that Bucky caught up the shield,
Yeah.
And that was just such a good moment for me. I just wanted him just to have that shield, and he wants that shield so much,
Of
and
course he does.
he'd be so good with it, and he deserves it. But it's just such quick action. You've got Falcon flying around, flying between the trucks, flying over them, and you've got Bucky on top of it, kind of getting his ass kicked. But it's just so fast and just flowing really, really well. And I get that comedy in there when Bucky's hanging on the side of the truck, and he says, "You got your ass kicked by a girl."
Yeah.
It's just so good.
That's
It's
the thing. Like,
interesting.
instantly. Sorry, go on.
No, go on. No, go for
I
it.
was just going to say it's interesting how the chemistry between those two have hit off so quickly. Because, like you say, you didn't really see them together that much in the films, did you?
No.
From what I can remember, and then instantly it's drawn into the fact that they obviously knew each other quite well, and they're bouncing off each other. It's almost a bit Riggs and Murtaugh piss taking,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Definitely.
I
Definitely.
loved the bit where what's her name? The girl. God, what?
What, Carly?
Carly grabs his Red Falcon thing and just snaps it in half, and Bucky turns around and goes,
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do that. And it's just, I was creasing up.
It is really good, and you've got to give credit because when Falcon and Buck have gone, you've still got Hoskins and Walker on top there. Continue fighting, and again he throws that shield off and he catches Hoskins as he falls off the back of the lorry, which is great. And even though he's seen people get their ass kicked, fair play to Walker. He climbs back on that lorry and he says that was a big mistake, and he's ready to go toe to toe yet again, which is, I just thought credit to him. He's a proper soldier. He doesn't give up.
Oh no, definitely. He is hard. He's a really good soldier. It's just he's not Captain America, and his arrogance, which is something that obviously the original Captain America didn't have, is one of the reasons you just fucking hate him. His smug look on his face, because when he has the interview and he talks about, he gets bigged up by the interviewer, doesn't he, about being the best in all these fields and everything else, and they show him using the shield and stuff, and he's sitting there and he's just got that bloody look on his face, and you're like, oh god, I agree with the people on the internet. You just want to smack him one and say,
And that's
shut
so
up.
good that they've done that, isn't it? It's brilliant that Marvel have got a character like that, and
Definitely.
that can divide so many people. And again, that's rubbed in your face when Bucky and Sam are walking down the road, and they're joined again in a passing Jeep, and it's almost as if Sam and Buck are being baited by them. And when they do get in the back of the van, they start talking about trying to get a plan together. And again, he goes on about that shield. And even kind of Walker says, look, I'm not Captain America. I'm not trying to be Captain America.
Yeah.
But it must be so hard for them to sit opposite someone who's wearing Cap's outfit. It just must grate on them so much.
No, definitely, because they're seeing their friend, aren't they? Their dead friend. That's all they can see is him and some bloke pretending to be him. And they're not seeing what Captain American is, which is a symbol. Because ultimately that's what it is, isn't it? Captain America was created as a symbol during the Second World War to bring hope for everybody.
Yeah.
And all right, he was amazing at it, but he chose a different path. But they don't see it. They just see their mate sitting there, or his uniform being worn by someone else. So, you know.
It's really difficult, and they ruin it by even. And I think they talk about the GRC and the citizenship, and I think this is going to be like the divide that gets between them, because I think the GRC, it sounds the way they're talking, is funding Walker and Hoskins to do what they're doing, and they make it clear that that Sam and Buck have got their own agenda and they're very independent. So I think those rules given to Walker and Hoskins is going to be the difference. And I don't think they agree on a lot of things, because I think that's what's going to split them mainly. And then they drop the bomb of he calls himself Battlestar, and I'm so pleased that Buck just says, right, stop the car, I'm getting out.
Yeah,
that's such a douche move to say that,
is.
to call yourself that. It's just, if he'd have said, people call me this, rather than I'm called this, it wouldn't have been as bad. But
Yeah.
It just sounds terrible, especially
it
wearing
does.
that cap outfit.
Oh, it does. The other bit that I found this because they said, "Oh, how did you know they were here? How did you track them?" And they said, "Oh, we didn't track them. We tracked you
Yeah,
because you're wearing US property in the fact of his, his flight suit and stuff like that."
yeah,
And it's that this whole thing of, you might be working independently, but you're working for us. If you see
yeah,
what I mean, as much as they were trying to befriend them, they just can't help but their egos get the better of them. And I think,
yeah,
that's what's pushed them away because you could tell, when he said, "Oh, I'm not Captain America, I've got some huge shoes to fill and all this sort of stuff," you kind of started feeling, oh, actually, he's not that bad. Yeah, he's a bit arrogant because he's fucking hard, but you
yeah.
thought, oh, he's all right. He's actually all right. Like in the first scene when he's in the locker, you think, oh, he's not that bad. And then he says shit like that, and you're like, actually, you're an absolute fucking knob. I
I know,
take
they
it all
really
back.
bring you back to ground, don't they?
Yeah, I had a moment of weakness.
And the bit afterwards, because you do get Carly in like their hideout and following their kind of their hijacking of the trucks, and she gets a text message saying, "You took what was mine. I'm going to find you and kill you," and that's from someone called the Power Broker. And I'm not looking who the Power Broker is, but I should imagine that that's who she stole the super serum from, and for the rest of her kind of like guerrilla kind of colleagues, terrorists, whatever they want to be, freedom fighters, and he wants that super serum back or to kill her because she stole it. It'd be interesting to see whether she's got more. But again, is that going to be someone who Zemo's going to be working with? Because I mean, I know
Exactly.
Zemo's in prison, but that means nothing in regards to phones and shit, does it?
No, of course it doesn't.
So,
Of course it doesn't.
What the they did in this, which we did, as I say earlier, we didn't talk about. Kind of it was overlooked, and I didn't even realize it myself until I listened to a few other podcasts like reviews on this. Was when they go to see Isaiah, when they go back to like Baltimore, and it turns out this is someone who Bucky fought, and Isaiah's like a super soldier, isn't he?
Yeah. Is that in anything, or is that part of the comic book series? Because
That's
I
part
don't
of the comic
remember it.
book series. Yeah, that's in the comic books. He was like in this. They had a fight in the Japanese War, and that's where he
Right.
met Bucky. But in the comics, it was they sent him to fight the Nazis, and
Right.
he fought loads of Nazis, and then he got captured, and he was then kind of experimented on by the Nazis, and then he was set free by like the Allied freedom fighters because there was some like a lot of black people in there, and they saw him as like a hero, so they rescued him and smuggled him back to America.
Oh.
And then because of everything that's happened, he was then like incarcerated, and because he was different, like experimented on for all those years. So
Yeah.
it does match the like the comics into a certain degree, but again, I think it's really powerful because a lot of people say, and I have got a point, and I think it's important to talk about is in the bank that I looked that a lot of people were saying that they were not given the bank loan because of the color of their skin.
Potentially.
And I think that's quite interesting, especially for them to bring this like Isaiah into it, that he was the first black Captain America, and because of his color and because of what the government were like back then, that he was hidden away and kept in prison for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
I think that's really kind of hit Sam hard, and I kind of questioned why Bucky introduced Sam to him, because I don't know what role this guy is going to play, or
No,
whether it was just something that Marvel wanted to do, as in bring up like I don't know the racism in government, or that's always been around, that people
potentially
only saw him as a black male rather than saw him as like a
a
super
hero.
soldier who could make a
Yeah.
massive difference, and he wasn't Captain America because of color, like the color of his skin, which I think is a really good point to bring up.
No,
But
definitely.
I was confused why Bucky decided to go and see him.
Yeah, there was no real reason, was there?
No.
It was just quite strange. And then Bucky got really angry about it afterwards. And oh no, sorry, Falcon got really angry about it afterwards, and rightly so. But
Yeah.
you talk about the racism part of it as well. It's interesting because obviously leading up to them going in the house, there was that young lad, wasn't there, saying, "Oh, you're the Black Falcon,"
Yes.
and he says, "Why is that? Because I'm black?" And he goes, "Why are you the black kid?"
Yeah.
Sort of thing like that. And I thought it was quite clever the way they did that,
Yeah.
because it's often always challenged the other way, isn't it? But then there's obviously the other side of the coin, if you see what I mean, because it's such a skewed racism, and the way people are portrayed for their ethnicity is quite skewed, isn't it? So I thought they were very clever and quite brave in doing that.
Yeah, I
To
do.
be
I
honest.
thought it was. Yeah, definitely. I thought it was done really, really well, and they did it, and to keep it in line with the story as well, which was good. And it wasn't a message that tangented off and was kind of like shoved down your throat, and you kind of look back and think, what's this got to do with where it's going? But the fact that this guy was part of the comic universe didn't understand why that he was introduced. He couldn't add anything unless he's going to come into it.
It will. It's got to, surely.
Yeah, a bit later on. It'd be awesome to have Isaiah come in at some point as a super soldier. And
he might come out and something's going to happen maybe in one of the later episodes, and he comes out and starts kicking ass or something like that, and he gets recognised finally.
And again, they both come out of the house, and they're not even having an argument, and then the police turn up, and again, is this because, I mean, you've got obviously white police turning up questioning what a black guy's doing in this neighborhood, who's they haven't seen before, and by looking at the people on looking at it, it's kind of appears a bit kind of multicultural anyway. But was this like another racist element to it, which is pretty kind of
it's difficult
because he only identified him as this is the Winter Soldier. This is Falcon, and then he was nice to him. But when he didn't realise that, he was treating him like a perpetrator anyway.
He wasn't. But I'm not being funny. Sam was really aggressive instantly as well. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the cops were doing the right thing, but I don't think that his attitude helped the situation either.
Yeah,
I know that might be controversial to some, and I'm probably going to get an absolute pasting for it. But it's just, I get what you're saying, but it's interesting that I don't know whether, and again, this is controversial, is this been put in due to obviously the real massive issues that are going on in America at the moment in relation to everything?
I honestly don't know, because this was meant to be out first before WandaVision, so possibly.
I don't know then.
So I don't know. Possibly. I mean, it's been kind of underlying in America for a long time.
Yeah, of course I had.
So possibly, but yeah, it was just interesting the way they've done it, so kind of hard hitting within the first two episodes. But it was just.
And the point needs to be raised. Racism is wrong, whatever. So it's fine, and every sort of people's poor behaviour needs to be challenged as well. So I think them doing it is very good, but it's just interesting how they've done it. So that's all. It's just, I think they've portrayed it very well.
Yeah, and I think it's great that this has been raised, because I think a lot of other people will be frightened to raise such topics, because it would be kind of quite divisive, and we were worried about viewing figures than actually what the message was. So fair play.
And I suppose at the end of the day, they're a multi-billion-pound company, aren't they, Disney? And if they want to make a point, and they should make it, they're able to, because even if they do take a hit in ratings, it's not going to break the bank balance, is it? So it's good that someone's been brave enough to put it out there. Yeah. On this sort of scale.
Yeah. Anyway, back to your favourite. We can see John Walker, because Bucky gets arrested because he hasn't done his probation chat with the doctor, and he gets bailed out by the very smug and incredibly smug looking John Walker, who basically says, "I use my sway and look who I am," pointing at himself, saying, "Don't worry about it, I've sorted it out, they'll listen to what I say." And the smug look on his face, rubs it in so much more. It's just
Yeah.
another kick in the nuts for both Sam and Bucky, with bloody Hoskins or Battlestar looking on with another smug look on his face. The conversation with Dr. Rayner, it was a weird one.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah. It seems strange that she suddenly felt she had to get a quick session in, as if to tick a box, and it made no difference. I mean, it was good. They sat opposite each other and had a staring competition like children, which was brilliant. I mean, I was laughing. I've watched this about 4 times and I laugh each time. Just so immature. They're so macho. And they don't want to admit that they've got the same agenda. And even they just do the kind of token gesture. We'll go on this mission together, and after that, we're going separate ways. And you know it's not going to happen. You know, it's just great. It really is.
Oh no, it's brilliant. It's fantastic, isn't it? It is weird why she's like, no, it's part of this. You have to talk to me, and of course, neither of them want to. They're not interested at all. Especially Sam. He's like, what's this got to do with me? I'm not having to be seen by anybody before I go on any missions. It's you know, and I can see why he's like proper hacked off of it. He's like, sod off, love. You know, I'm not having to be evaluated to go on missions. He does. That's fair enough because he used to be part of Hydra and kill people. But But
no, it's interesting. He talks about the last. Goes, what is the second rule about don't hurt people? Or I think that rule's going to go out the window pretty soon. I think, honestly.
I think because obviously the conversation they had and they brought up raw feelings and emotions, and it got quite, you know, fraught, didn't it? Especially emotionally. And I think that's why he said it. Almost like, what's rule number 2 again?
Yeah.
And she's like, not hurt people, almost to say, well, look what you just done to us.
Yeah.
And
that line that Bucky gives, where he says, if he don't believe in you or is wrong about you, what about me? And that's so powerful to say that. I mean, I don't think, it doesn't appear that he got any kind of goodbye, because from Captain, like Steve Rogers, when he left, because I know in Endgame, like when he went, and it was almost as if the look on Bucky's face was he knew that Steve weren't coming back. So they kind of had that nod together. But I'd love to have seen what kind of goodbye, how it was left between them, because Bucky's clearly hurt still, and I'd like to get a flashback of both of them. And at the moment, I don't know how far ahead this is from Endgame, but is Steve Rogers, is he in an old people's home now? Is he alive still?
I think he's probably past it. I think he's probably passed away. That's how I'm getting it. But I did find that odd at the end of Endgame, how he had the conversation on the bench with Sam rather than Bucky.
Yeah.
I found that very odd because I didn't realise there was that much of a connection between the two of them, if you see what I mean.
Completely agree. I expected something with Bucky. I expected Bucky to get that shield. And I really want a flashback of the conversation both of them had together, if they had one. And is that why Bucky's so bitter towards, obviously, John Walker having this, and the possible way it was left? It'd be really interesting to know.
It would be, because maybe Steve turned around and had, you know, it would have been nice if they'd done it and sort of had this conversation saying, you know, I didn't come back and I'd love to give you this shield, but I know America won't ever accept you, or something like that, because of what you did, even though it wasn't your fault. So I'm going to be giving it to Sam instead, because that would make more sense.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, that would make more sense. Yeah, as you say, because they don't know all of the kind of the things he did, like the secret missions when he was brainwashed. I'd like to think that when Zemo was arrested for what he did, that they then cleared Bucky's name, you know what I mean, for when he was but that could be a really good reason why, as in the public's perception of Bucky.
Yeah, I think that would be how I take it, but I don't know. I could be talking absolute bollocks like I normally do. So
never never at all. But it ends with kind of both of them outside. They meet Hoskins and Walker, and then they talk about going on the missions together, and that's when they talk about the different authorizations that they've got. And even Sam says it wouldn't make sense to work together, and it's just really sinister when he shouts out one word of advice, stay the hell out my way.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing, and that's his arrogance, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
He thinks because he's got this uniform on and he's the best of the best that he can do what he wants and have people do what he wants, and he doesn't like being told no. And you can just see that he's really fucked off that this is like the second time now that they've told him no, we're not joining you. You can piss off.
Yeah, exactly. That's really, really interesting. And I think that's going to be what makes it so divisive. And then you've got you haven't seen them. I don't know anything about. It's just the power broker then finds Carly and the rest of them shipping the medicine on the plane, and they're that scared that what's going to happen. You get one of them who actually sacrifices himself so the rest of them can get away.
Yeah.
And
it'll be interesting to know who these people are properly, because like I say, I'm not as knowledgeable about these things, so I'm very excited about finding out who all these different factions are and everything else.
Yeah, because they just no nonsense. They just take one of they shoot the guy and kill him, and that's it. And the rest of them do get away. But yeah, I can't wait to see the power broker, who's controlling them, which side it's on, whether there's a massive army of kind of super soldiers waiting to take them out. And then it ends with what I was really surprised about, but I've been waiting for him to come in it in Zemo, as when Bucky says the only way we can find out more information is by going to see Zemo. And it'd be really interesting. You do get the flash to Zemo in prison, which is great, because he was a really good, very sinister, very clever, very calculating like baddie in Civil War, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was very good. So no, I'm really looking forward to where this is going, and I'm surprised. I still sit there and surprised it's only 6 episodes.
Yeah.
So there's either going to be a hell of a lot crammed in the next 4, or there's going to be a huge cliffhanger for the second series, which I suspect that'll be the one. I don't think this is going to end.
Oh, really? Do you think there'll be a season 2, do you?
I think so. I think it's probably very popular already. But I don't know. It's a lot to cram in, isn't it?
It is a lot to cram in, and I don't think, probably wrong, I don't see or think how they can fit in Doctor Strange's multiverse of madness. I think that's going to be Wanda. But yeah, the way it's going at the moment, I'd love it to be a second season. Just the things that they can do and given a bit more freedom,
Yeah.
It's 2 really good characters.
Yeah, because you've got the Flag Smashers, you've got the other massive organisations that's chasing them, you've got the Zemo, you've got so much, and you've only got 4 episodes left, and it just seems like they're unless I can't see how they're going to do it, and that's why I'm so excited. It's like you've got all these things going on at once, all these different elements of different things. And there's got to be a second series. There's got to be some sort of cliffhanger at the end, leading into the others. I hope so, anyway, because I'm really enjoying it.
It'd be interesting to see. So, but yeah, so that was episode 2. Another really, really solid episode. I'm really enjoying this. It's nice that there's not the confusion that there was in WandaVision for me, because I kind of made the mistake of delving into what these characters are like, and I think kind of knowledge is too much fucking trouble sometimes. So to go with the flow, not knowing the power brokers, not knowing the whole agenda of the Flag Smashers, I'm excited about it personally. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think you're right. I think you've got to watch it for what it is, and then you can take it sort of, if I could speak, take it apart afterwards.
Yeah,
and find out more about all these things, and what the other lore might be like in the comic books. But we need to enjoy this for what it is.
Yeah, and then fucking awesome.
Because at the moment it is brilliant. Because it's interesting, isn't it? Because James has said that he didn't particularly like it, the first episode. So I wonder if he will change his mind.
See if we can drag him on the next one if he does change his mind. So the next one we're doing. We have got the Terminator one coming up. We're going to do all of the Terminator films, which will be interesting because there's a couple of them I've not actually seen. And we're going to do Rush Hour because James's busy schedule means he can't jump in, and we want him to be on the Terminator. So we were meant to do Rush Hour. I had to work late. We didn't do it. So next week we will be doing Rush Hour. And this pod will be out on Sunday. Sunday today. It'll be out a bit later on today. So, But thanks everyone for listening, everyone who listens, everyone who downloads, and just it's amazing. We always talk about that we can't believe the figures, excess of 20,000 people, which is just unbelievable, isn't it?
Oh, it's crazy, and we can't, like you just said, we cannot say thank you enough for
Yeah,
tuning in and listening to us, and we really enjoy doing these, and we
yeah,
will continue to do them, and we're just really pleased that you seem to enjoy it too.
yeah. It's great. Thanks ever so much. Well said. Okay, we'll be back very soon, and thanks everyone for listening. Goodbye.
Take care.